This is why you're still a mess after so many psychedelic trips. We're gonna circle back to what's inside this at the end. It's because you think this is more important than this. Because you believe reading this is more important than reading this. It's because you think looking like this is more spiritual than looking like that. Spirituality is not how you dress. It's not what you believe, what esoteric knowledge you're consuming. It's not how many ceremonies you've done, or how many amethyst dildos you've shoved up your ass. Even if you charge it under the full moon. Smoking weed 24/7 and breaking through on DMT while eating junk food doesn't equal enlightenment, you know? It doesn't matter how many times you quote the Buddha. Without conscious change, it's all spiritual masturbation. This video is why, after so many trips, facing your traumas and meeting these entities and merging with God consciousness, why do we keep coming back to this earth as assholes?
Judging other people to be less spiritual than you makes you a better person than them, and that's exactly what makes you more spiritual than them. Hey, Kevin. Do you see how unconscious that guy is? Jerk.
And I get it, I go through this too. I recently had an ayahuasca ceremony where during the trip I'm like, yes, I had this empathy and merging with divine consciousness and thinking of all the times I've just been an asshole and I need to be more compassionate. I need to call this guy and amend this relationship and do this and this and this. Thank you for helping me become a better person. And then the DMT wears off. I wake up the next day and all those insights that came to me, I remembered them and I understood the homework assignment. And I'm still, my initial reaction is still like, nah. Not completely, but sort of, you know. And then we slip back into our old habits. There is a spiritual component to changing the way you dress, for sure, because this can shift identity. But there is a trap of thinking that wearing mala beads is suddenly going to make you more compassionate without doing the inner work. And at a fundamental level, this is how you actually see yourself, how you identify as, deep down. Nothing's going to change. Because eventually you can throw all these different clothes on, you can light your Palo Santo and light the incense and put up an icon of your favorite Hindu deity or whatever. But if you don't change the way that you perceive yourself, then nothing's going to really change. Because your identity is going to slowly pull you back in, you know? I've noticed this when I try to become a certain person, but because I don't really believe in it deep down, like I don't consciously make that shift, do the shadow work to change that part, everything will fall apart because my soul knows, like, this is all bullshit. Like, well, what are you doing here? And it feels fake. This is why it's a common trap to use spirituality as a costume, because it makes us feel better. Like, human beings, we're very egoic creatures by nature. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like, especially in this social media era, narcissism has really, you know, this self-obsession pattern has, man, it's reached a whole new level. We're all obsessed with branding. And think about what a brand is. Cattle get branded. This is you now. So instead of trying to dress more spiritual on the outside, try to dress more spiritual on the inside, but without having that need to prove anything to anybody. You know, working on that self-esteem, and self-esteem is reputation with yourself. This is tough. I've struggled with self-esteem issues for the majority of my life. And this can get much worse when you don't actually act out your inner beliefs. Because there are certain things that I might believe deep down, right? Like, yes, I believe this. But if your actions contradict your beliefs, believe it or not, your self-esteem goes down the toilet. It starts to disintegrate. You start to not respect yourself. And you might think consciously, like, yeah, I like myself, but deep down you're not. That's why you're numbing yourself with drugs and junk food and escapism and dopamine loops and all this kind of stuff. So instead of putting a spiritual costume and trying to look spiritual for the outside world, try to work on your reputation with yourself. How you look at yourself in the mirror. Are you happy with what you see? And are you on the path of growth? Are you actually practically in real world getting better? Because it's easy to think that you're getting more spiritual and stuff. Try to align your actual beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, whatever they may be, with your actual actions, and we'll get into it a little bit later. The second trap why people are still a mess after so many spiritual trips is they confuse insight with integration. They confuse the message with growth. Whether it's psychedelics or meditation or reading a spiritual book, it's pretty similar. Without actually embodying that and taking action, it's all spiritual masturbation. Spiritual bypassing is a sneaky trick that the ego uses by using this knowledge and thinking, oh yes, I'm spiritual, and it puts all the spiritual gems on it, makes it look shiny and beautiful and nice and divine. But it's like, no, you haven't done the work. That's just like a lazy man's way of thinking that you've jumped up the levels. It's like playing a video game, and instead of actually playing the levels properly, you try to find like a glitch or something. And sometimes there are glitches in games where you can just skip levels, right? But if you're just using glitches and not actually getting good at the game, once you get to the final levels, because you're not working on your actual skills, once you reach that final boss, you're going to get mauled. And that's like with life. And I get it, man. I'm impatient too. I want to just jump up to enlightenment. I want to jump up to just being wealthy and successful and charismatic and all these accolades that make me loved. But I also have to acknowledge that I can be very lazy and I don't want to do the work. But my spiritual ego makes me think that I don't need to do that work. I can just have a mystical experience and just download this knowledge and I'm there. But it doesn't work like that. Unfortunately. It's just so funny how you can meet God on Friday and still be a prick by Monday. And I've met God on 5-MeO DMT, and that was fantastic. I'm not going to pretend here that psychedelics have no value or anything like that. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. So I don't want you to get confused by thinking that I'm just shitting on psychedelics. If they had absolutely no value, didn't help at all, then I would stop doing them. But psychedelics, alongside integration work, shadow work, meditation, working out, therapy, coaching, working on your life skills, blah, 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 like psychedelics with all this other stuff, oh man, it can definitely be an amplifier. Even if it's just a reminder of the mystery of life, because sometimes it's very easy to just get trapped in that same autopilot loop of the mundane, of the you forget sometimes, because you're so focused with what's in front of you. And sometimes a psychedelic trip can or a spiritual trip or whatever, meditation or a near-death experience, whatever, can just open you up and you're like, oh, okay, I remember. But you gotta act while the iron's hot. It's like going to a university lecture and the professor teaches you all these amazing things. But compare student A who goes into university and listens to a professor, doesn't take any notes, but just kind of passively listens and maybe feels like they're getting smarter. And compare that with student B who goes to the same university class, but he's actively taking notes. And then after he leaves the class, he does the research. He tests himself. They do all these other different modalities to really embed that knowledge in their nervous system, and they act out. And of course, whatever profession that they seek, they nail it. Whereas the person who just goes there passively, maybe they even go in higher. This was me for a lot of it. You end up forgetting everything, or not retaining a lot, and you're not able to articulate the knowledge because it's not very embedded in your nervous system, because you just show up to one class and passively listen to a teacher instead of actually doing the work. And this is applicable to the spiritual experience, the mystical psychedelic experience. Because there's a big difference between doing the preparation before, let's say, going to an ayahuasca ceremony, treating it seriously, journaling, getting a coach or therapy or somebody, or joining a group to help support that integration phase, versus someone who just goes in and out. It's like there's this spiritual Dunning-Kruger effect or something, like the people who just go in and have the most spiritual experiences without doing the work think they're the most spiritual. And this leads into the third trap, which is the lack of ritual. This is where responsibility becomes ritual. It's easy to be spiritual, right? And be wishy-washy and just kind of believe things. But without having a ritual and just sticking with a model, honestly, I don't think it really matters what it is. There's this Interesting study that shows that the spiritual but not religious tend to have more depression and anxiety than those who are religious and not spiritual. And I don't want to go deeper into this study or say that this is true or it's not, but it is an interesting pattern that I've noticed, that those that actually have rituals, even if you don't believe it necessarily, like if you, for example, pray every single morning at the exact same time, even if your heart's not in it most of the time, that's going to be much more powerful than someone who just believes in all this stuff but doesn't actually act on it. And this is not about being a part of an organized religion. The point of this is ritual. And this doesn't have to be this grand, like, praying to Jesus moment or whatever, but this is like cleaning your room. Bring back the Jordan Peterson, clean your room, bucko. But seriously, he had a point, at least in that aspect of life, which is clean your room, dude. Fucking have a shower, mate. Look good. Clean the dishes. Help your mum take out the garbage. Learn to admit when you're wrong. Apologize when you're in the wrong. Look in the mirror and actually do audits of yourself on a regular basis. Where are my shortcomings? Like, can you actually look at the negative parts of yourself and really sit with it and acknowledge it and change it, versus this, nobody is broken. I don't need to be fixed. I am perfect the way I am. It's like, dude, that's called narcissism, because none of us are perfect. And a lot of us are broken as fuck, dude. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to admit, like, oh, you know what? I can be a fucking asshole. Oh, I can really cling on to things that poison my insides instead of letting things go and admitting when I'm wrong. And or have you noticed the part of yourself that just doesn't want to change, right? You're attached to this certain version of yourself. And then you declare to the world that, no, I am not this person. I don't do that. I'm this. When sometimes the best thing to do is to do that thing that you said you would never do. But some people never do because they're so prideful, you know? It's like, for example, I used to be that person like, no, I don't dance. That's just not me. But that was just because of my own insecurity. And I still feel uncomfortable dancing. Trust me, I don't like it. And especially around family, because then they all point and make a big deal out of it. Like, oh, look, Tom's dancing and shit like that. But I've learnt to just be silly with it and dance. And it feels good, man. It was like this energy trapped in my body. But this is just like an example of something that, like, you don't try to cling on to something so tightly. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your spiritual growth is to do the thing that makes you uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. If you're one of those like spiritual hippies with the homeless beard and dreadlocks and stuff, and who's so against capitalism, maybe pick up a business book. Read material from someone that you despise. You know what I mean? Or read that spiritual text from that religion that you think is homophobic. Like, test yourself, right? Learn to discern the good from the bad. Like, you don't have to take everything for all it's worth. You can treat life like a buffet sometimes. Are there certain addictions that you're not willing to let go of? Like, smoking was a big one for me, man. I would try anything but to avoid not stopping that. The main point of this video is that spirituality means nothing if it doesn't actually help you live better. Spirituality is ultimately about aligning your mind and heart and actions with truth, so you live with integrity, compassion, and love. Sometimes you don't need another ceremony. You need to become the kind of person the ceremony tells you to be. I'm still a massive hypocrite. There are things that I believe and preach and say, but then I act the opposite. But hopefully, throughout this journey of life, that gets better and better and better and better. Now we're going to return to this special spiritual totem. This is something that people pray to every day. It gives them spiritual powers, help them to become a better person, to be connected with God and their ancestors. But this is the reality of it. Even the Pope shits in the woods, mate. On one hand, you think it's this spiritual thing that's going to save your life, but then you peek behind the curtain, and it's a cosmic joke, mate. The real work isn't this. It's life, mate. Life is a ceremony. Reality is the real trip.